So I had the pleasure of talking with Landon Tewers here in the back of the intersection at a sold-out show.
Yeah.
Man, that's gotta feel great. First day of the tour and already sold out.
I'm stoked. It'll be a good time. This is it's literally like our 15th time playing here. Maybe even more, honestly. I feel like we play here at least like twice a year.
You know, it's kind of the fun thing too, and something I've been saying about Grand Rapids as a whole is, you know, we're considered a B market, and I really don't feel like we are.
No, I wouldn't say that either.
I feel like if we're going on grades, I would say we're like a B plus, A minus.
Yeah, I would say A minus at the least, yeah.
But you know, all that being said, you know, your newest record, Dispose, came out. It's been almost a year now via Fearless Records.
I think we just hit the year mark, like
a week ago?
Maybe like a month ago. I don't remember when it came.
I'm sure it's just a blur. Yeah, it's just a blur for you.
Yeah.
I've really been enjoying this record, and I feel like, and I didn't Google how old you were, so I don't know if we're comparable in age, but, you know, being someone in my mid-30s who, yeah, I still love aggressive, loud, angry music, but I'm not necessarily the demographic for that anymore. I need a little more introspective.
Same.
And this was a very stark contrast to the rest of your discography. And so I kind of wanted to know, what was the catalyst in starting the writing process for Dispose, and how organic was it?
Very, very much so. It came together, like, I think I wrote 15 or 20 songs, and a few of them were heavy songs. And we just wanted the 10 best, you know what I mean? Like, we didn't care. Usually on a record, you're like, well, you know, you have to have the heavy songs for these, you know, this crowd. We're like, we kind of just threw that idea out the window, like, whatever the best 10 songs are, that's what's going to go on the record. So that ended up cutting all the heavy songs just because they weren't as good as the other ones. So it wasn't like something we talked about, you know, beforehand, that we wanted to make this switch. It just kind of happened that way. And our producer, Drew Folk, he had a lot of help and input on this record too, because I brought in like my ideas and stuff, and I left them pretty bare bones on purpose because I wanted to see like what we could do with somebody else, because I usually just do everything myself. And he really helped like morph them into what they are now, especially with production and, you know. So, and he wasn't afraid to tell me like an idea sucked, or you know what I mean, and I needed that too. So yeah, it's great.
This is kind of a concept that I've been trying to come up with throughout the day on how to ask it. You know, there's a band like 100, you know, that was a melodic hardcore band.
Yeah.
And then basically put out Rare, which is a record I really loved, and I appreciated what it was.
Yeah.
And the left turn that they threw everyone for. But it seemed like the problem with that was, and I saw it when going to the Warped Tour that year, there was so much shit pre-planned. You know, the business side of things, like, okay, we would like you to go in the studio, we would like you to have the record in hand to us so we can put it out in this part of the year. We're going to start lining up tours, all this other shit that goes into the hardships of just putting out a fucking record.
Kind of rush them into it.
I don't necessarily know that they rushed them into it, but more so, the band did everything and didn't tell anyone that this is the record we're going to hand you.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're getting put on tours, or at least on Warped Tour especially, and you're on the 2 stages with like Hatebreed and, you know, Acacia Strain and shit like that.
Yeah.
And then there's a band where it's like, maybe you would have been better off if you would have kind of let everyone know ahead of time, like, this is kind of what we're doing.
Right. Oh, so they were kind of doing just the wrong things.
Yeah, and I don't know how much of it was just shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
Trying to be, like, not having other hands in the pot. And it basically, I feel like, while it was fun for me as a listener and as a fan, I think business-wise it fucked them because they didn't take the time to really think about how to properly release this record. Yeah. And they're on a label that's expecting them to put out another record just like the rest. So, okay, like, here are the tours you're going on. When you see something like that, or, you know, even like Bring Me, do you look to things like that in the industry and kind of go like, okay, like, we saw this band do something that was sort of akin to what we're doing, but this is the misstep they took to be successful in this new approach?
Yeah, because it's a really tough place to be in. Once you establish yourself as like a certain thing, then it's really hard to get away from it. And if your team doesn't kind of know ahead of time, like, you know what I mean, like what you're going for the next thing, they're just going to keep putting you on the same tours that you've been doing, you know what I mean, with kind of categorizing you with the scene and stuff. And that was something, like, before the record came out, we made very clear to everyone, like, we don't want to just do like breakdown band tours. Not that there's anything wrong with that. We just wanted to make sure that we took the right step of touring with the right bands, which I think we did. Our first tour on the record was We Came as Romans, and they're more like in the, and then we did Amity, which is like a perfect, like good balance of, it's they're still singing and screaming and stuff, but it's more more of like rock oriented stuff. And then Under Oath, obviously the best we could probably best band we could probably tour with that's kind of in the same vein, kind of doing, especially with their new record, But it's hard, especially you're a heavy band, you want to go for a lighter sound or just something more experimental. It's going to be a challenge to get yourself out of that, you know what I mean? But some bands do it really well, like Bring Me and Amorosa and stuff like that. But others, you know what I mean, they just kind of stay clumped, and yeah, it sucks. But
I think Amorosa has been an interesting one too.
Yeah, very interesting.
The fact that they were trying to get that post-hardcore kind of sound, and just decided to go more pop.
We actually sent them an offer for this tour, actually.
Oh wow,
and they were like, we would like to, but we're trying to move away from that kind of scene. So even we were too heavy for them, which is crazy. So, but it seems like they're making all the right moves right now. So
yeah,
it sucks. We've even, since this record came out, we've had to turn down some pretty cool tours just because they were a little too heavy. You know what I mean? We don't want to get kind of trapped in that.
Now, the question I was going to follow it up with was, when telling the label this is kind of the route we're going to go, kind of in pre-planning for this kind of rebirth, I'll call it.
Yeah.
Was there any resistance?
No, they were all for it. Yeah, we were very lucky with that. They're just a heavily involved label, and as far as wanting to hear your ideas and make the right decisions, and they just care a lot. You know what I mean? We've been a band that's been on labels where we were a last priority. You know what I mean? Here's however much money, go make a record and piss out a video.
Right.
But they really give a shit, and they just have to take a lot of pride in the artists that they have. You can tell that it doesn't seem like they would sign a band unless they actually cared, and that's rare.
Something, when looking at the past year or so of touring, you're in this nice gray area where you don't necessarily belong any specific place.
That's fair. Yeah.
While I assume that's nice, how hard is it to kind of figure out, it's interesting to me to think about how sometimes, maybe you don't want to go on a headliner for a little bit. You want to be the 2 of 4, 3 or 4, and really get on good support tours, and then kind of build the tour and kind of prolong it that way. So when you do your headlining runs, that's the long-term goal.
Yeah.
So with that being said, and some of the issues you were kind of saying, there are some tours were offered, but we kind of want to break away from that.
Yeah.
How hard was it to prepare for this album cycle of touring and kind of making sure that everything was what it needed to be?
It wasn't really that hard, honestly. We talked to the label and management and kind of conveyed how we want things to go, and it went exactly that way. And that's rare for us. Usually, nothing goes the way that we
well, I almost would have figured maybe other bands or whatever would have kind of been
yeah,
you're the metal band, or you're this,
right.
And it would have been harder to get on.
No, everyone pulled together and did their pulled their weight for this record release. Everything went as planned and better, which is crazy because we're used to everything going wrong and being disappointed on the cycle. We're just used to failure, complete failure. So it's nice to win one. You know what I mean? Even on a small scale.
Something I kind of focused on when listening to the new record in comparison to the others, and this sounds like a backhanded compliment, I don't mean it to be.
No.
I think the common sentiment when you hear people who don't maybe necessarily listen to more aggressive style of music, I can't understand what the person's saying. So inversely, on this one, did you put a lot more emphasis on what you were saying? Because for some people, this is going to be the first representation of the plot in you that they're really going to be able to fully understand first time through lyrically.
Yeah, I mean, in the past, I don't think it's any secret. I had a huge enunciation problem. When you're screaming, who gives a shit what you're saying anyway?
I feel like singers take really crazy liberties sometimes with enunciation. So.
Yeah, but I had the gurgly mouth scream, which sounded like shit. But that was one thing on this record. I think Drew helped push me on a lot. He's like, dude, I have no idea what the fuck you're saying. You gotta do that take again. So it was good to have someone being another set of ears that could tell me when I'm fucking up, or But that was one. The whole record's obviously very vocal driven, so we needed to make sure that was on point. So Yeah.
Adversely, do you feel like this is the most raw and vulnerable record you've put out?
Yeah, I think so. I think this one and Happiness and Self-Destruction are definitely the two most like personal and like go in depth on a lot of different topics that I hadn't really touched on before. So yeah, I think both those records are.
You've done a couple of tours with that. This is one of the first, I think, headlining runs you've done on it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So with that being said, having a longer set, what were the obstacles in putting together a set list that's going to appease fans that have been around for, all these years,
right,
versus the ones who have kind of come on in the last year or so?
Well, we play most of Dispose, and then, we have a little bit from every record. Mm-hmm. But we play a couple that I'm just like, oh my god. I had to blast these songs like 100 times on my drive just to remember the lyrics. Oh man. But yeah, we really dipped back. We played one song in particular that's super old and
I just always
slightly
think
embarrassing.
It's always funny when pros with something like this, like going to see Bring Me at a couple years ago on.
They still play some old stuff, right?
That was the thing is a lot of, because I saw them on the That's the Spirit tour, admittedly was never a fan of any like Sempiternal Forward got me.
Yeah.
The rest, it's like there's moments of brilliance where I kind of can see where you're going. I wish there was more of that.
I'm kind of the same.
So when seeing that tour, everyone was singing.
Did they play in Grand Rapids?
Yep, they played at the Order Room.
Oh, cool.
But with that being said, all I saw was a lot of fans bitching about how we don't play old shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so you want them to play a deathcore song in the middle somewhere. I don't even, and that's the thing, is it's like, where the fuck do you play it?
Exactly.
And so I was wondering if that was an issue for you guys, like where you're like,
kind of. There's ways to do it. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I think Bring Me it does a medley.
Yeah.
And they just kind of throw a medley and then back out,
just to appease everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't that difficult. We only had like 2 that were like, well, kind of have to play these. You know what I mean? Like, people want to hear them. And it was actually kind of fun relearning those songs and stuff. But yeah, it's always weird. Just playing super old stuff that you burn out, you know what I mean, is always like, how can we make this fun again? You know what I mean? But
what are some of the ways that you've maybe made some of those older songs that have lost
a lot? Kind of like goof off a little bit, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like not take it so seriously, you know? You're playing a song called fucking Miscarriage, you know what I mean? Like, you can't take yourself too seriously.
You've kind of, in perusing your Twitter feed, it looks like you had a really interesting last 24 hours with your Uber ride.
Dude, insane. So, I live in Detroit, and I needed a Uber down to Toledo. And so, a bunch of Ubers canceled on me as soon as, they realized, And, but this guy shows up. I get in his car, and they don't know where they're taking you exactly until you get in the car, right? I don't know if you knew that.
I've heard that would explain why whenever I get in, they're always like, "Oh, where are you going?"
Yeah.
And it's like, don't you fucking know?
Yeah, but they don't.
Okay.
And so I get in the dude's car, and he's like, "Oh, you're going across the state?" I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Oh, do you think maybe you could find another Uber?" I was like, "No." Fuck you, dude. But so I get in his car, and he doesn't speak to me after that. Like, I can tell he's pissed off. Like, he's not stoked. I was like, I don't care, this is your job.
Like, it's probably a decent money.
Oh yeah,
it was like, for him.
Yeah, it was great. And so we get maybe 30 to 35 minutes outside of the state, and he's going so fast. And I was like, damn, he's gonna get pulled over. Sure enough, he gets pulled over, and I look up, he's sweating. He's so nervous, and he got a bad ticket, and he didn't say a word to me the entire rest of the drive. And then we get to the place. It's like, thank you so much, man. He goes, yeah. All right. Well, there's no way my bill even paid for half of his ticket.
Oh fuck, that sucks.
He is so pissed. I ruined that dude's day, maybe even week. But
it's funny, it's not related at all, but when I saw that, I was thinking, because he probably has no fucking clue who you are, or why you're going to Toledo, or anything like that. And what was really weird is I saw Craig Owens post on his Facebook today, and apparently some dude dropped off pizza to him, and then made a post on Twitter, and that basically was like, I picked up a second job after my normal job delivering pizzas, and I delivered to Craig Owens, and then took a photo of where Craig signed the receipt. and then screenshotted Craig's like a message he sent to Craig being like, I didn't know who you were, and then I realized after seeing one of your tattoos who you were. I'm a huge fan. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And it was just like, and he's like, yeah, I probably gotta move now. And it was just like the opposite side of that, like where it's like sometimes it's like I wonder if you would have been like, hey man, like I know this is a big bummer, but like you're really helping me out. I'm going like for tour rehearsals, or I'm going.
Yeah, that's just too far.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I'm just as someone who like over prepares for shit. At least like I would be like, I feel like I would go the extra mile and be like, look, dude, like I'll tell you what, like you pick me up in Detroit, like next time we're coming through, I don't even know if it's your thing, whatever. Like I got you. You and a friend come and hang out. Like I know this is a bitch.
See, I never mind like.
I mean, you still pay for service, I guess.
Yeah, I never mind like if I'm at a show and stuff, or like anywhere really, and someone just wants to say what's up real quick, that's fine. But only time I get really irritated is when I'm eating.
Ugh.
If I'm in the middle of eating, like just wait. You know what I mean? I'm sure you can. Oh man, that's the only thing that grinds my gears is whenever I'm eating and someone comes up and bothers. Oh man, that's just.
What is the worst experience that you've had with that?
Glad you asked that. I can think of the exact instance. So I was, oh man, I don't want to, whatever, fuck it. I was at a place. Yeah. A place that sells steaks.
Okay.
Very nice steaks.
Okay.
And me and my ex-girlfriend were eating, and this couple came up, and my food had literally just touched the table, right? Steaming hot. I'm so excited. I'm starving. And this couple comes up, and they're like, hey, are you Landon? I was like, yeah. They're like, can we get a picture and stuff? I was like, sure. I wasn't stoked, like, I want to eat. I'm fucking starving. And so I get up, take a picture. That was fine. I sit back down, and they just, like, keep talking and talking and talking. Literally, like, I'm just watching the steam die on my steak. Just heartbroken. And they literally stood there for, like, 10, 15 minutes. And finally, like, they got to the point where I was like, well, I need to eat, like, and it just did not register in their mind at all that, like, this steaming food is getting cold. Oh, man, I was, like, I wouldn't say mad, I was just bummed, so bummed, like, you could have waited, like, 15 minutes, like, I wouldn't care. That's the only time I get irritated when people, want to talk or whatever.
I think it's funny, I get a lot of, like, especially when shows are happening, like if I go to Founders or something, I get a lot of the, man, what band are you in? I'm not.
Yeah. Just because you're tattooed.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I'm just kind of like, all right, so old people pull their purses and shit away from me because they think I'm a criminal. Other people want to bother me because they think I'm somebody that they can take a photo with or whatever. It's just, so as things like that have happened, it's always funny when I think of, like, how much worse it is if you actually are known as the person, as a person.
My favorite thing now to do is if they ask me if I'm me, and I'm just no. They're like, and then you see them on their phone, like, looking up pictures. But,
nope, that's not it. I get that all the time. It's really crazy.
I did it to a kid on that on-road tour, and he's like, "Wait, are you sure?" I was like, "Yeah, I think so." Like, and then he walks away, and I see him on his phone, just like looking up pictures of me and looking at me, and then he comes back and he goes, "You are Landon," and I was like, "Yeah," and then he's like, "You're a fucking asshole." All right, and then we took a picture. It was all good.
What I saw outside of the bad Uber ride and experience. Well, not for you. You didn't give a shit. You got where you needed to be.
Yeah.
But outside of the Uber experience and stuff like that, you were already saying to somebody that had asked plans for plot new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You had kind of mentioned that you're probably expect a record probably next year.
Yeah, I don't know if we've discussed exactly when we'll be going into the studio, but I think it'll be the end of this year, or at the latest early next year.
Do you feel something I've kind of focused on quite a bit too is the life of a record, and the world that we live in now, where people are just fickle and moving on to the next thing, whatever it is, because they just need that new thing.
Yeah.
With that being said,
it's so overset. There's a record coming out every day.
Well, it's like Netflix comedy specials. They're not special anymore.
Yeah. That's very true.
But with that being said, do you feel that there's still, I mean, obviously you probably will be touring the rest of this year at least, so I mean that puts it, closer to a 2-year normal tour cycle.
Yeah.
But do you feel like there's more meat on the bone that there still could be, or do you try to find that balance of not oversaturating on a record and staying fresh?
Well, in the past, we oversaturated on every record. Because we had like 3 years in between almost every record. And we just kept going and going, and like, I just saw how counterproductive it was, you know what I mean? Like, less and less people would come, you know, like after the year mark, you just start to notice, like, you can only do so many, especially US, you know, support tours before people are like, you were just here a month ago, what are you doing back? Like, it doesn't make sense. It's fine, like, to do it, like, one support US tour and then do a headliner on the record, but I feel like anything more than that's just excessive, you know? Unless it's, like, you know, obviously, like, a huge opportunity. Like, we didn't really plan to hit the US unless we were doing a headliner, and then we got the Under Oath tour so we were like, obviously we can't say no to that, and that it was good for the band. But any other record cycle, we did it very wrong, you know. We oversaturated and just toured on it as much as we could. But these days we're trying to be smarter about it. So yeah, I think we might do, I'm not 100% sure, I think we're doing some overseas shit for the rest of this year, and then I think we're gonna kind of close it out that way.
Do you feel that full records are the way to go, or kind of doing what hip-hop has kind of been doing?
Like shorter, like 7-song
EPs, or just, I mean, like...
Personally, I like that. Like,
Drake kind of is the one that I look at, even though he fucks things up, because he'll drop all these singles, and then sometimes they get put into mixtapes and so forth, but then you'll have, like, The Scorpion, and it's basically a double record.
Yeah.
I don't need 30 songs from you.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, you could have dropped one.
No, I think it's excessive, for sure. That's why I think Dispose is 9 songs, and then an interlude. But the one before that was like 15 songs, and I feel like a lot of songs got overlooked just because they were too far into the record. Yeah. To where it's like people probably got bored, or, you know, like, everyone's attention span these days is pathetic. And that's fine, but yeah, I think I like the shorter record thing. Like, that new Kanye record, Yay.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was a perfect...
So good.
Yeah, perfect amount of time. Just in and out, every song's a banger, you know what I mean? I think, obviously, quality over quantity every time, so...
Yeah, I think that's the thing, and I feel like, and maybe you can speak to this. I mean, you kind of just did, but, like, Kanye's a great example. I fucking love Kanye. Yeah. I saw him on the Pablo tour.
That's sick.
And was hands down one of the coolest shows I've ever fucking seen.
Yeah, I had a couple friends go to that. It was nuts.
I've never seen, for everyone that shits on that dude, go see him live, and especially if you go see a lot of shows of all kinds, and I'll wait for you to tell me the last time you've seen an arena be captivated for an entire hour-and-a-half set. No bathroom songs, no nothing. Yeah. Constant interaction.
That's sick.
I've never fucking seen it.
Yeah.
So
I've only ever heard insane, incredible things.
But Kanye's an interesting one too, in the fact that he bucks a lot of traditional norms. Yeah. Basically, hip hop now is the new rock stars. Yeah. Whether anyone really wants to admit that,
no.
I mean, look at the charts, look at the sales. That's all you need to know. And it kind of makes me wonder too. You know, you were kind of speaking to the fact that earlier about how there's not necessarily tours that, you know, work because either you're too heavy, you're too light now, whatever. Would you ever think about maybe doing something where you just bring out whatever the fuck and create a really almost like a festival environment?
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, if we were gonna do something like that, it'd be fun to have like a couple of our old band friends and stuff like that come out, like I Declare War and stuff like that. It'd be, I mean, if you get to pick, then that'd be cool. Yeah, but.
Because I see things like what Odd Future does and Tyler the Creator.
Yeah, that's actually a really good example of Odd Future. Yeah, they've got like Frank Ocean, but all these rappers and stuff too. Yeah.
But then they go on tour and they'll have like, you know,
a good mixed bag.
A Turnstile, or they'll have like, you know.
There's a way you can do it, you know, right? But like even Bring Me, you know, they still bring out heavy bands and stuff on a lot of their tours, most of their tours. So yeah, and there's nothing. It's not weird, you know what I mean? So.
Do you feel that, given the fickle nature of where the music industry is, and the fact that I would say the bubble has been burst on crowdfunding, and obviously streaming's not going to go away. It seems like there's actually more streaming platforms coming on the horizon, and kind of makes me wonder, because, you know, I also saw that you were getting ready to do a solo record. Where do you feel the music industry is and where it's going? Because not only are you kind of in it from a band perspective, but being a solo artist, I would imagine you look at the industry in a completely different way, because now it's just you, as opposed to thinking about 4 to 5 other guys or a tour or so forth.
Yeah. I don't know. to be honest, I don't listen to a whole lot of music when I'm off tour. I mean,
I just listen to podcasts, so
yeah, same. I listen to a lot, and I just watch a lot of news and stuff like that. But I don't know, like it definitely seems like things are getting more experimental than they've ever been. You know what I mean? Like even like the top 40s, like it's all so different. And so I feel like obviously rap and hip hop and stuff is the biggest of everything right now. But to me at least, it seems like rock is kind of dying, and I could be wrong, but from my perspective, like I don't really see much of it anymore. You know what I mean? And I don't know. As far as like the heavy music scene goes too, I don't really know what's going on. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Are there any bands that are blowing up right now in that scene, or is it? I mean, obviously you see the OGs that are still, you know, no matter what they do, people show up and stuff. But as far as like groundbreaking, and that
I would say the last one is Code Orange, honestly.
Yeah.
Code Orange, I would say Vane kind of has put that heavier scene kind of on its head, like a little bit. You know, it made a lot of noise.
And I could be wrong. Like I've just been so, I don't know, removed from all that
I don't really like. People are like, I love how you can connect with people. And, you know, I don't know how you're able to do as many interviews as wide-reaching and casting as you do between metal, hardcore, whatever. And the honest truth is, I don't listen to much music.
Yeah.
I do a pretty extensive, like...
People don't believe you when you say that.
No.
You know what I mean?
No. And to me, it's like, you know, I've always been more fascinated with the story of how something came to be, as opposed to just giving me the product. Yeah. Give me, like, I loved Victory Records in the early 2000s because they would throw you the fucking making up record.
Right.
I probably would watch those way more than I listen to the record.
I love those, the like Under Oath ones.
Yeah.
And that's sad that's
a medium that's gone and it's lost. Really I feel like I guess that's what social media has become.
Yeah. I mean, I guess during bands like recording process now, they'll just like take clips on Instagram and stuff like that, which is cool. But
it's not as
people like that. I would buy that shit, you know, from a band I like or like an artist that I like. I agree with you on that. Yeah.
But the thing that I tend to do is I like listening to podcasts or watching these kinds of interviews or whatever, and just listening to someone talk about the experience of making a record or what the song means to them or how it came about or something like that. Because to me, it makes my listening experience when I do go and listen more rich and I get more out of it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what's lost in music. And I'm not saying hip hop is saturated in that.
Yeah.
But I think the hip hop market has figured out a way to inundate everybody with that just constant barrage of content, whether it be new songs, features, interviews, everywhere. They're just always there.
Yeah.
And so you're constantly learning about them and know what's going on. Whereas I feel like, especially metal now,
it's impersonal, right?
Yeah, it's very impersonal. And I think kind of going back to your story, sort of about the nonverbal clues of trying to eat.
Yeah.
Please, you know, respect my space right now.
Yeah.
I feel like sort of that's been kind of how the heavier music scene has become. The collective aren't as interested in the people anymore. It's a disposable thing, and I feel like these shows have sort of become the cool place to be. If I were to ask you, like, what song do you like, what resonates with you about this band, I don't really know that people connect with these bands anymore because they don't have that ancillary thing anymore. Like, I got to know those guys as people, and that probably sucks too because...
that's a whole nother thing that's, like, big, especially, like, you have artists like Tekashi 6ix9ine and, like, you know, they'll put their entire lives on the internet, you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing that the public can't find out about you and stuff. And that's kind of, like, I see, like, a lot of these young artists and stuff coming out, it's like, they're not just artists anymore. They're
a brand.
Entertainers. You know what I mean? Like constant on their phones, like, you know, talking to the cameras and shit like that. And that's almost like part of the job now. You know what I mean? And that's just something I can't do that. I hate putting my phone in my face and talking. You know, it's crazy how much that is like a part of the thing now. You know what I mean? It's almost mandatory, or people just like kind of forget about you, but. That's probably why I'll never be a top 40s artist.
As such, and kind of wrapping up, because I don't want to take up too much of your time, do you feel, because of that, like maybe there is this weird duality of you as the person who gets inspired to create but you as the individual who wants anonymity a little bit?
It's hard to say. Like, I'm just very private, you know what I mean? Like, I don't like to put too much about myself out there. I've kind of
noticed that.
Yeah.
The little digging I did.
Yeah, and I don't think I'll ever change as far as that goes. And I've even had label people. I've had a lot of people tell me, like, why are you so inactive? You know what I mean? Like, people want to know stuff about you. It's like, that doesn't mean I want them to know about me. You know what I mean? Like, I like my privacy. I like, you know, anything. That's my thing. Anything I feel that's worth talking about, it's in a song of mine. You know what I mean? I'd rather people get to know me through my art rather than my shitty Facebook posts and Instagram. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I get fucking annoyed with people that are just constantly doing that shit. Like, I get, like, it's part of it now, like, as we just talked about, but I get very annoyed. You know, you can just tell. It's like, dude, you're not even a fucking person anymore. You're just a shitty brand that annoys the fuck out of me every day. Like, so I can't be that. Even if I knew 100%, like, this will make you a successful millionaire, I'd pass. I'm good. I need my privacy and my integrity. So, yeah, that's just not me.
I guess that's as good as any place really to kind of end. Where can people find you and or the band?
All over every social media, just the Plot and You, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Fair enough. And looking forward to the show tonight. Thank you again for taking the time, and looking forward to it.
Awesome, thanks.
Oh, that wasn't.
Oh man, my foot fell asleep halfway through, and I put it down. I was like trying not to make a face. You got those pins and needles, you know?
Oh my god. It was funny because, like, as we were just like kind of going, I was like, I don't kind of like where this is going now, because I was gonna end it. And I was like, okay, like we're.
No, you're good.
I feel like it's kind of.
I did one with this dude in Boston or somewhere near there.
Yeah.
And we set out to do 45 minutes, and I think we clocked out like 2 hours and 10 minutes or something like that.